Hi everyone, we're going to be talking about decimal addition today. So our goals include add decimals that are to the tenths place by modeling and add decimals that are to the tenths place without modeling. So we're going to try this two different ways today. All right, so let's just take it slow here. We are going to practice modeling addition with base 10 blocks first. So over here on the left-hand side, we have our decimal, and we have 3.21. All right. So another way to say that is by using our place value chart. So let's quickly remember on a side note here hold on, let me get something up here. What our place values are. Okay. So we have our decimal point, right? And then we have different place values on both sides of it. So let's start with the ones you already know, such as our first decimal point, our first place value to the left of our decimal point would be the ones. And then next comes the tens. And then we'd have the hundreds. I'm just going to put a big H. And then if you go to the right of the decimal point, meaning that you're going to go below zero. So you're talking about the tenths and the hundredths. Remember, it's just the same as tens and hundreds, except you're getting rid of the D or the N, or not the N. You're just adding a THS. You're getting rid of the D on hundreds, and you're just adding the THS instead. You're replacing that. So hundredths, tenths. If you wanted to go one more, we could go to the thousandths. Okay, but we're mainly going to just focus on up until the hundredths, or back until the hundredths, I should say. Okay, so in order to say this word, instead of saying 3.21, I could also say 3 and that's how we say our decimal point, 3 and 21 hundredths. So you just say the number it is, and whatever the last place value is on our number. So 3 and 21 hundredths, oops. And then we have 53 hundredths here. And we need to add these together. So what's really handy about this is our place value chart that we've used before. We can actually use that again when we're talking about decimal points. So it's almost like there's like an invisible line here that would represent our decimal point. Let me get a different color here. Hold on. Okay, so pretend our decimal point is here because we have the ones, and then we have the tenths and the hundredths. So here it is laid out, and you can see how if you think back to using our base 10 blocks for adding things, with tens, hundreds, ones, we are using the flats now, which we used to use for the hundreds. We're using those in the ones place, and the tenths we're going to be using these rods, and then the hundredths we're going to be using the little cubes. So that is how you can set it up on your mat if you choose to use that, or if you choose to use the blocks as well. Okay, so all they did is they plugged in or drew our base 10 blocks in by how many we had in each category. So they had 3 flats for the ones. I'm sorry, I just lost my screen. And then we have 2 rods for the tenths and 1 cube for the hundredths. So here is 3 and 21 hundredths up top. And then down here, we have 5/10 and 3/100, which makes 53/100. Okay. Now, all we have to do is add them together. And I think it's going to come back to you fairly quickly. So, just like normal addition over here on the left-hand side, let's look at our little notepad. So cute. Start on the right-hand side like always and add them up. So 3 cubes plus 1 more would be 4. Okay, let's move on to the tenths. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7/10, or you can do your mental math in your head. 5 plus 2 is 7. Bring down your decimal point. Do not forget it. Otherwise, you will get the wrong number. All right, so bring down that decimal point. Just follow it in line, please. And then let's look at our ones place. We have 3 up here and none down here. So we just bring our 3 down, or 3 plus 0. So our final answer, see if you can say that out loud. We have 3.74 or 3 and 74/100. Not so bad. All right. Replay this if you want some more practice on this problem or if it didn't really make sense. I'm going to keep going here. All right, so we could also think of this on a number line. To add 0.5 or 5/10 and 7/10 on a number line, jump from 0 to 5/10, then jump another 7/10. So you move past 1 and end up at 1.2 or 1 and 2/10. So you could think of it like that as well. Whatever works best for you. That's really a big part of your math journey, is just finding the best math strategies that fit you. Because there's different ways to divide, there's different ways to multiply. And if your way is different, but it works for you, that's all that matters. Okay, let's find another example here. We have, how can these models be used to determine the sum of 1 and 7/10 and 3/10? I'm going to read that one more time, and then I want you to pause this video and see if you can figure our answer out, or if you can come up with a solution. How can these models be used to determine the sum of 1 and 7/10 and 3/10? Sum means addition. So how could you use these? All right, well, it says these models show a total of 1 whole and 10/10. After regrouping 10/10 into 1 whole, there are blank wholes and blank tenths. Therefore, the sum of 1.7 and 0.1, sorry, I want to make sure that I tell you the other way. 1 and 7/10 and 3/10 is So you can either solve it by doing our base 10 block model, or you can stack them up as well. And please, even though it's a 0 and you feel like that might not be important, it is. Please, please, please do not forget to include your 0 in the ones place. I don't want it to look like this, because it's just going to confuse you later on down the road, and we need to show that there are 0 ones. Okay. You will thank me later. All right, So you can stack them up, or you can look at the base 10 block model. I will do both as we go. So I see that in the 10th spot here, we have 7 and 3. 7 plus 3 is 10. Okay. So put down my 0, bring up my 1. So all of these rods over here, since 10 of these rods go into one flat, there's 10 in there. Okay, that would make 1. So I'm just going to draw another flat in here, because I would, if I had my base 10 block mat, I would take my 10 rods and I would exchange them for a flat. So I would get rid of these, oops, and I would be left with 2 flats. And if I went back over here, thanks for being patient, don't forget your decimal point, I would have a total of 2 in my ones place. So to answer our question, after regrouping 10 tenths into one whole, there are how many holes? 2 holes and 0 tenths. Therefore, the sum of 1.7 and 0.3 is 2. Just the number 2. You don't have to see 2 and 0 tenths. Nope. This is the same number as 2. All right. There's nothing after the decimal point, so you do not have to declare that. All right. Now, we're going to look at a real world situation. So at the pool, the low diving board is 1.2 meters above the water, and the high diving board is 1.5 meters higher than the low diving board. How high is a high diving board? So this sketch shows that the high diving board is 1.2 plus 1.5 meters above the water. So we need to add these two numbers together in order to find this total height of the diving board. Okay, so we're going to be finding the sum. All right, you can decide how you want to do this, either on a place value mat, on a number line. I'm going to stack it up. I have 1.5 meters, or 1 and 5 tenths, and 1 and 2 tenths. And I'm just going to make sure that my decimal points are lined up. This is key. If it's off, you are going to get a completely different answer, which will not be correct. So please be careful. All right. So we have 1 and 5 tenths plus 1 and 2 tenths. All right, start on the right-hand side and operate like normal. So 5 plus 2 more is 7. Bring down that decimal point, and then we go over to the ones place, and we have a total of 2 here. So to answer that question, the total height of our high diving board is 2 and 7 tenths of a meter, or 2.7 meters would be our answer. All right, so we're going to continue practicing here, and I'm just going to plug in some different numbers and practice adding them together. Okay, so let's try 49 and 31 hundredths and 2 and 1 hundredths. Okay, you might have to add something like this up. Maybe you're at the store. Maybe you bought maybe you bought a big thing of snacks, and then you decided to add a little candy bar or something. So here we are at the store, and we're going to add up how much we owe. All right, So in the hundredths place, add those up. 1 plus 1 is 2. In the tenths place, we have a 3 plus 0, which is just 3. See where that 0 is handy? Make sure you write it in. Bring down that decimal point. Okay, in my ones category, I have 9 plus 2 more, which is 11. Okay, regroup as normal. Bring down my 1, carry my 10, and then 4 plus 1 more is 5. So if I was at the grocery store and I had these two items rung up, my grand total would be $51.32 or 51 and 32 hundredths. But in this case, we're talking about some money. All right, let's try a different one. And I want you to pause the video and see if you can figure it out by yourself. All right. So hopefully you had some time to figure this out. Let's see if you get the same answer as I. So in the hundredths place, 5 plus 1 is 6. In the tenths place, we have 7 plus 8. Ooh, 7 plus 8 is 15. Put down your 5. Put down your decimal point too. Okay. Put down your 5, carry your 1. You just made a whole number. So since you went over, you can't just write 15. You know that. Please put down your 5, carry that 1. And then we have 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. And then 6 plus 1 is 7, and you're done. That's it. If you have any questions, just replay the last 20 seconds. Okay, one more. Ooh, let's do a challenge. Let's try. Do you think you could do it to the thousandths place? Let's find out. Let's try. Pause this video and see if you can find the answer. Okay. Let's start at the thousandths place. We have 5 plus 5. 5 plus 5 is 0. Put down your 0, carry your 1. 9 plus 1 more is 10. Plus 1 more is 11. Put down your 1, carry your extra, because you just made a tenth. And then add up your tenths. 1 plus 2, 2 tenths. Bring down your decimal point. And then add your 2 plus 1 is 3. And then bring down your 9. And you are done. Good job today. Thank you for listening. Hopefully this helped a little bit. I will see you soon. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.